Good Monday evening. Welcome into the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. I am Randy Rosetta. This is, as I mentioned, the High School Fan Zone, where we do this 3 nights a week in the fall with all 8 of the public high schools in the Hub City. We are starting out tonight. Monday nights, as usual, will be Estacado, Memorial, and Liberty, the 3 4A programs currently in Lubbock. Tuesday nights are Monterey and Coronado. Wednesday nights are Lubbock High, Friendship, and Lubbock Cooper. Each school gets 30 minutes in the fall, so we can break down whatever we need to break down. It's a lot of football in the fall. We're going to start mixing in some volleyball coaches here soon because volleyball is – I just talked to a couple coaches today. A lot of those volleyball teams have played 25, 30, 35 matches already. It's incredible how many matches they get in early in the season before they get into district, which I believe everybody starts district either this week or next week. The 3-5A girls have been at it for a while now, quite a while. I think this is the 3rd week of district play, and then we've got a lot of big games coming up on the volleyball schedule. But we're going to focus on football this week, starting with Estacado. We're waiting Eric Ward and hopefully a couple of his guys to talk about a pretty incredible win for the Matadors Friday at Hereford, 35-33. I was not there, but I wrote a little story on it for HubCityPreps.com. The Matadors scored on the final play of the game on an untimed down. A little bit of controversy, but the Matadors also created their own situation with an incredible drive at the end of the game after a lot of back and forth action. We'll run through the scores from last week on the gridiron for the Hub City teams. In the HubCityPreps.com game of the week last week, Lubbock Christian rolled past Sundown 61-13. Chris Softly, the Dean of Lubbock High School football coaches, became Lubbock Christian's winningest coach with his 91st win. Congratulations to him. One of the best dudes you'll deal with. If you ever get a chance to meet Chris, you will walk away feeling better. That's not just the Midwestern in me and him talking. He's just a good dude, and he knows how to coach a little bit of football as well. Elsewhere around Lubbock and West Texas, Friendship dropped a tough one, 33-26 at Wichita Falls Memorial. The Mavericks scored with 45 seconds left, I think, in that game, and then scooped up a fumble right at the end to make the score look a little bit different than it should have. But Friendship is 0-2 for the first time since 2017. They're not a bad team. It's just a little bit of misfortune last week cost them a win. Also, Lubbock Cooper surged past Coronado 45-14, a scoreless game after the first quarter, and then the Pirates really flexed their muscle after that. I think they had 4 second-quarter touchdowns and subdued the Mustangs in that one. Monterey on Thursday night rallied to beat Abilene Wiley 24-21. Great game. I covered that one. That's a big first win for Monterey this season, a big first win for Jason Sims and his tenure. It was really a good competitive football game. Enjoyed watching that one. Lubbock High lost on the road at Big Spring 41-27. The Westerners have not had any trouble with offense so far. They have scored 62 points in 2 games, but slowing the other guys down has been a bit of an issue. They've given up 76. So see if they can't remedy that this week. Thursday night, they are the HubCityPreps.com game of the week this week. Thursday night at home against Snyder at Lowry Field. Let's see, who am I missing here? Liberty looks really good right now. The Patriots beat Idalou 55-12. That's another game I was at, and I don't even know if that final score does it justice. The rain had a part in that in the first half, and then the Patriots just came out and took advantage of that rain, leaned into their MO, which is their offensive and defensive line, and just dominated the Wildcats after halftime on the way to that one. I mentioned Estacado 35-33 at Hereford. Couple of other games. Let me find them. 6-man games. Christ the King beat Amherst 60-13. Golden Lions are 2-0. Kingdom Prep meet Anton 62-12 on Thursday night. The Warriors are also 2-0. They've got a heck of a test coming this weekend. They go out to play at Wichita Christian, which is one of the perennial great 6-man teams in TAPS 2A. Let me make sure I got everybody. A couple of area games that HubCityPreps.com covers. Plainview beat Pampa 49-41 in a good old-fashioned West Texas shootout. Levelland got into the win column with a 41-21 win. A lot of good football last week. A lot of good football coming up this week. I'm going to break that schedule out and see if I can't run through those games. And I'll throw out where they will be on the Raymar networks if that's the case. Thursday night, as I mentioned, Lubbock High's at home against Snyder in the HubCityPreps.com game of the week. That's down the radio dial a little bit. Rob Bro will be our guy in the call, though. Rob, familiar voice to Raymar listeners. On Friday night, Friendship is at home for the first time this season against Wichita Falls Legacy. That is on Double T 97.3 FM. Coronado is at Abilene Wiley. Wiley is 1-1 after the loss to Monterey. Coronado's 0-2, looking for that elusive first win. That's on 96.9 The Bull. Lubbock Cooper is at home against Tascosa in what has become a really fun series between those two teams. They've been in district with each other. They've not been in district and played great games, so we'll see how that plays out. That's right here on 100.7 The Score. Monterey takes the long road trip to El Paso to take on Franklin at, I believe, 7 p.m. our time. I want to double-check with Mike Meeks and Jason Sims on that to make sure I'm correct. That will be on 93.7 The Eagle. Liberty gets another home game, third or fourth in a row to start the year. They're at home against Monahans. Monahans is not very good right now, so that one, I have a feeling the Patriots may have another lopsided win on their hands. That's at 7 p.m. at Patriot Stadium. That'll be on 93.1 Yes FM. Trinity Christian's at home for the first time this season against Denver City out at Warwick Memorial Stadium. This is a great game in town this week. Lubbock Christian is at home against Stanford, coached by former Monterey coach Wayne Hutchison. State runner-up last year in 2A Division II, I believe. State champion the year before. And Lubbock Christian, obviously, with what they're doing, 2-0 right now, off to a really good start. Idalou heads out to Levelland. Plainview goes up to Hereford, and in the six-man ranks, Christ the King is at Midland TLCA. Kingdom Prep, as I mentioned, is at Wichita Christian. So a ton of great games have been played. A ton are coming up Thursday and Friday. We're coming up on a break. We will be right back after that break of the action on the High School Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. This is Randy Rosetta, and we'll be right back.
Breaking down Estacado sports. This is the Matador Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back into the High School Fan Zone on a Monday night. I want to run through some of the details of stuff that's going on here before we jump in with the special guest here. I mentioned the stations that carry, the Raymar stations that carry our different high school football teams. Friendship is on Double T 97.3 FM. Lubbock Cooper is right here on 100.7 The Score. Liberty on 93.1 Yes FM. 96.9 The Bull is the home for the Coronado Mustangs. Monterey can be heard on 93.7 The Eagle. Friday night from 6 to 7:30 p.m. on both Double T 97.3 and 100.7 The Score. You can listen to the West Texas Friday night preview. And then from 9:30 to midnight on those same two stations, the West Texas Friday night scoreboard show. Archive shows can be found on the High School Fan Zone page at doubleTSportsNetwork.com. And don't forget to download the 100.7 The Score mobile app to listen live or to listen to podcasts of all the High School Fan Zone shows. I don't know where you can find a recording of the Estacado broadcast from the other night, but I'm going to guess that if you found it, you would hear a lot of energy from this gentleman who's about to join me, Nick Long, the voice of the Matadors on a station elsewhere in town, but he also does team up with Mark Finkner on Saturday mornings. Nick, how are you doing, sir?
Well, I'm doing good, and I don't think I'm on cloud 9 anymore, but I'm probably still on about cloud 4 since Friday night.
Well, and that's what Nick. I'm going to give a little background here, Nick. I'm not going to give your age away. You're still a young man, but Nick told me he's been doing this for, I believe, 50-some years, and this is a guy 51. I've known for a while through my late father-in-law Tom Hall and him were buddies up in the Plainview, Floydada area. And when I got a hold of him Saturday or Sunday, all the days run together, Nick. You know what it's like on the weekends when you're working hard. he was as excited still about the Estacado outcome as I'm guessing he was Friday night when it happened. 35-33, the Matadors scored on the last play of the game on I don't want to call it a trick play because they'd been running it that whole series, but I saw the video of it. It was hiked to the up back in a full house formation, and Raheem Hunter, a defensive lineman by trade, just poked into the end zone and gave the Matadors the win. And Nick, you told me you hadn't seen anything quite like the way that game played out in all of your years. How unique and exciting was it for you?
Well, I tell you, the fact that there were 3 ties and 4 lead exchanges, no one ever had a lead in excess of 7 points, and then just the way the game finished out with Estacado down by 4 points, 33-29, and they got the ball at their own 42-yard line with 5:31 to go in the game. And they went a total of 58 yards in 13 plays, the only double-digit drive the Matadors had all night. Hereford had 4 drives in excess of 10 plays, and they scored each time during the course of the game. But Estacado was faced with 2 fourth-down situations at the 35-yard line, and the quarterback, Darian Walker, did as great a play action as I've just about ever seen. Bozeman had already scored 3 touchdowns in the ball game, is who he faked the handoff to. And, I mean, he did it beautifully and just took about 2 steps rolling to the left. And J.T. Hargers, who was a real X-factor in this ball game, offensively and defensively, made the catch across the middle on a slant end, enough for the first down on 4th and 6, and went about 4 more yards to get it down near the 25-yard line. Estacado faced another 4th down and 3 inside of the 20, and Donovan Torres, who is normally a running back and an all-region receiver safety, made a clutch little pass out of this no quarterback formation. After that first down pass by Darian Walker, I don't think that Estacado had a quarterback in the game the rest of the time. They went with what some people call wildcats. And there were either 2 or 3 running backs in the backfield, not counting Raheem Hunter, the blocking back, who was right off of either I thought he was off of the right guard. Your article said the left guard, but either way, he and they had never given him the ball.
Nick, let's hold that thought. We're coming up on a break here. I'll let you catch your breath. We'll keep talking after the break.
Then we'll have the final way the touchdown happened.
There we go. We'll come back after this break on the High School Fan Zone. I'm Randy Rosetta. This is 100.7 The Score.
Breaking down Estacado sports. This is the Matador Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back into the High School Fan Zone. Nick, you still with us?
I'm still with you.
All right. You got about 4 minutes here. Take over.
All right. We were down to inside of the 20 and a new first down. The clock was well under a minute by this time, but the next to the last play of the game, Bozeman came out of the backfield, and Torres connected on a little pass to him, and Bozeman was heading to the pylon. But so was also 3 Hereford Whiteface defenders. And it was very evident that Bozeman did not get in. He got inside the 1 but did not get in. And an official was standing right there, probably 2 to 3 feet from that tackle. And it was very evident to him that Bozeman got out of bounds. Now, here's where confusion was, is the clock was showing 00, and the Hereford players were running off of the field, pumping their arms, in celebration, they had got a 33-29 victory. But the officials, and I pointed this out when I was broadcasting, I said, hold on, folks. The officials are not making an effort to leave the field. When a game is over, the officials, whether it's football, basketball, or baseball, they leave the field. And Estacado's offense was not moving. They were not in a huddle, but they were all grouped up. There was a discussion, and I feel the discussion had to be, was there any time still left in the game? This, I don't know when I'll ever know the answer to this, but it's apparent there is at least a fraction of a second or a second to go, and Estacado got to run a play inside of the 1 yard line. I would say at 1 foot. They were in this tight formation. The blocking back was a 230-pound defensive tackle, Raheem Hunter, and rather than snapping, instead of snapping to the guys in the Wildcat, they snapped it to the blocking back, and he went in virtually untouched. Hereford in no way was anticipating him to run with the ball. They were going for Torres and Bozeman, I feel, and Raheem Hunter just ran through the end zone, still had the ball in his hand. He circled around all the way to the Estacado bench down the sideline, and this time you knew game over, and the officials started leaving the field, and it is a legit victory for Estacado. They did win 35-33, and some of the most bizarre, unusual, sometimes weird and confusing situations happened throughout this game, and the finish was incredible.
Well, and I'm glad that they had Nick Long there to call it, because you have called some football games in your career, and that when you told me that was one of the most scintillating games you've ever called, I knew it was a big deal. And that's, to me, for Estacado, it's 2 weeks into the season. I hate to say they needed a win, they needed this, they needed that, but I'll editorialize here a little bit. Winning a game like that can be the foundation for a season, and I'm happy for the Matadors. I'm happy for Eric Ward that they got that. They've got a tough one coming up. They've got to play West Plains at home on Friday night at 7 p.m. at Lowry Field. They're
jumping out of a fire out of the frying pan into the fire. The 4A1 number 2 rated team in the state, West Plains, is coming. If I'm not mistaken, this is the highest rated 11-man football team in the Panhandle South Plains. Well, they are defending 4A1 state semifinalists from a year ago. They've got a 4-year quarterback in Reed Macon who has thrown 95 touchdowns in his 3 previous seasons of starting since a freshman.
Yep,
They've got Slade Russell, a running back that rushed for nearly 2,000 yards last year during that great march. They've got a 6'6", 285-pound tackle that is committed to K-State to play in the Big 12. And his name is Keegan Collins. And on the other side of the tackle is another guy just as big, Omar Lopez, 6'5", 290. So huge bookend tackles to protect the quarterback and make Slade Russell be able to run. And also in there is Cade White Tinsley, a receiver that is just outstanding. He's a 6'1", 185-pound senior. West Plains is loaded. I'm telling you, Randy, they are loaded. And Estacado's played them 3 times in their young history of West Plains School, and the Matadors have not beaten them yet.
Well, they get their chance Friday night, 7 p.m. at Lowry Field. Nick Long will be there. We'll be back after this break in the Memorial Panther Fan Zone. I'm Randy Rosetta. This is 100.7 The Score.